doing? Hello. Morning.
Great stupid snow. Hey, buddy. Don't you eat any paper towel.
So, where should we start?
Well, I think the best place to start, considering it's been 22 years of painting, is really from the truth in the very beginning. I mean, you take an art class, know absolutely nothing, fear of everything you touch, but end up with one of the best art teachers in Saskatoon, Hugo Alvarado, who taught us it's a piece of canvas. Do not be afraid. If you hate it, cover it up with gesso. It's just a piece of canvas. The goal here is to learn how to play with your brushes and play with your color. And that's where we started. It's getting hot in here too. There, but don't have fear of, or the thought that your first piece is going to be a masterpiece, because it's not. You're going to hate it and you're going to want to gesso over it, but that's the whole point. It's a learning process, stage by stage. And he also taught us, very importantly, is to never work on one piece at a time. Because if you get stuck and you don't know where to go with this piece, what are you going to do? Sit there and stare at it? No, you have to put them on the side, get a new piece of canvas out and start again. And if you get stuck on that one, put it away and start again. Never work on less than 5 to 7 pieces at a time. Always have that much on the go. Because if you learn something on painting number 4, and you go back to painting number 1 and go, oh, for heaven's sake, that's how I can finish painting number 1. Now I know what to do with this stupid thing that I've been staring at and want to throw in the garbage. And I've always painted that way from that stage on. So yes, this is how my studio works. I always have 5 to 7 pieces fresh, non-finished, on the go, as you can see over here. There are 3/4 done, there are, I think, are done, and there are some where it's like, just walk away from it for a while, let it breathe, come back to it and go, oh yeah, okay, now I know what to add to this, or, you know, you're feeling. You go through a black, you know, you've had some heartache lately, and that comes out, and then there's also joy, so that comes out in your work as well. Yeah, it's a place to come, to lose track of life and just have fun and paint, and try not to paint with fear. I really do try to just let it go and have fun. If it doesn't work out, as Hugo says, you can always gesso over it. So that's the process of how I began. Finding pieces, but so you're gonna have to move and come with me, kind of thing. Hi, Nanny.
And like, are you thinking of like starting that blank canvas there?
I think so. I think it's easier in your head to start fresh than to work on a piece that you're already done.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just start this and say, you know, this is how it begins.
Yeah.
And this is how it ends.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Okay. And then where are you going to be putting that down?
Well, I'm going to have to paint here because all my stuff is here. So what I'll do is I'll put it here.
Yeah.
My canvas, my colors are here. Everything's here. My glasses are here. Very important. Can't see a damn thing without those. Well, I'm just putting a base coat on here, so just don't want it white underneath in case something shows. I should have taped it off, but I guess it's not going to be white. Should I tape it off before I make a mess?
On the sides?
Yeah. Do you want it white? Or do you want it black?
So why are you taping the sides of the canvas?
I want to leave the background white. I may go over and put a coat of white on it, but it's easier to have it clean
than it is to have your color all over it. Gesso painted. Let's just leave it white to begin. It's just brighter. This one I don't want dark, and I did a black series, so this one I just want a little brighter. Leave it white. So the beginning of generally tends to be half abstract, half, I guess, real. A floral, in my way, collage, is start with the base first, of course, and then I can always go back in and darken, lighten, change, whatever, but at least my original canvas is covered. So I tend to gravitate towards always putting a base wall, almost, I guess you could say, on my pieces. Not sure why. It's like a security blanket almost for me. So I get that laid, and I've used my dried flowers in here. I've just covered them with some Venetian plaster just to add some stability, and then I'll paint them or add some collage paper that I've used, depending on how it all dries and what it looks like. Then I go in and put my underpieces here, which would be sort of your table, and I don't know, this tends to be just color, which is a jump off point for the rest of the piece. And then I tend to put some black in here just to ground the painting itself. I start with the vase, and then I put some leaves and some, help me out here.
Yeah, leaves, stems.
Stems, sorry, I just do struggle with finding the right words at times. My stems in, and then go in, find, I do save my paper towel, I let it dry, and use them as my flowers. And advertisement for Bounty. Only use Bounty paper towel because it does not crumble and fall apart. So what I'm looking for right now in all my treasures is color for my flowers.
So those paper towels,
This,
do you make them, or are those just from cleaning up and you throw them in the bucket?
they are from,
Is it just like when you did the undercoat?
yes, and smooth the colors and soften the colors, and then I let it dry and I reuse the paper towel. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to be too fussy here because, again, it's a bit of an underbase. But once I get my hands amok, I prefer to have some papers ready to go, because once you're amok, it's really hard. Unfortunately, my doggy is in here eating it all up on the floor. Okay, so here we go. So this is a big one. So it's too big for me. We're going to, I go through gel like crazy. So these are big guys, so they're gonna go up here, and I want them to be bright.
And gel's the primary thing holding everything together?
Yes, and then after I'll varnish and add other, so it's what holds everything down. I don't know, I'm a texture person. I like texture. I do like flat at times, but I tend to gravitate towards texture. So I've also added underneath and sort of on top, canvas, when you rip it, gives you little strings, and these are already painted from some canvas I painted. So when I pull off a piece of canvas, you get a string. And as you can see, it's already painted. So I reuse these little pieces. They become little tiny treasures in my art. So this is a piece that I might just keep. So I've got my base, I've got my foundation for my flower vase to be sitting on its table. And I've added the gesso just because it balances the weight of the flowers a little bit. And I like working with gesso. It's kind of my favorite form. And now it needs to, everything, I can paint it wet. I could. I tend to like letting it dry a little bit so I can put the color in that I'm really looking for. I have painted wet. It has worked. As an example would be these little white, these pieces were painted wet. And they do work, but they're a different look. And they were painted in like 10 minutes, both of them. It was a lesson we had in an art class of creative painting in 5 minutes. Easier said than done, but these took 10 to 15 minutes because of the layering pieces in there. But that was quite the lesson to learn, to let go and just paint. And don't get too hung up on the little tiny details, because you can at times. This basically is phase 1, just because I painted it all at the same time. Now it's drying, and then I will go back in and paint, and then this is a final project, so you can see what this can transform into. And as the more you add, this changes because you've added different pieces to it. So it's just a fun, for me, fun, lighthearted project that I don't get too stressed about. It just becomes what it wants to become. So that's basically how I approach my floral. And I also do landscapes, which I don't know if I'm always thrilled with my landscapes. For some reason, they tend to cause me grief. I'm working on some new pieces using old pieces that I don't like and recreating sort of an abstract landscape is basically what it ends up being. I've been challenged with these landscapes for quite some time, and my son Brant introduced me to this kind of style painting. It took me a long time to find the courage to actually get into it because it's very different from what I'm used to doing, but dug up the courage, not on my own, and just said, for God's sake, it's a piece of canvas, just get in and start. So I'm working, this was an old landscape that I really liked, but I could just never quite put it together properly. So this is the beginning. This is laying the under pieces. I'm not quite done. I need to finish my sky and I need to finish my foreground. So create some trees and life in here. So I'm working on finishing this one. And like I said, Hugo always told us, if you get stuck, move on. Grab another piece. So this was a rework, and it's really coming along. Using that style plus my own. So this is the, what do I call this?
I don't know. It's like
Yeah, you create your own paint, basically. You create your own paper.
It's like painted collage paper.
Yes, so I've just cut them and turned them into, because it goes with this idea. So I'm still working on this piece. As you can see, I have not finished my background. So it's coming. I'm not afraid of it as I thought I would be once I got going. But again, working on more than one piece at a time is crucial. So this one was the beginning of letting go of fear. And then this one was inspiration from this one. And working on an old landscape, just beginning this morning on this one. Trying to bring it back to some kind of life. So this is just the beginning. This is just laying down some boundaries of what's what and where's where. And so I only started this morning, so it's just the very beginning. As you can see, none of this is done, and I have not finished this layer. So the sky is pretty good so far. This is just layering the initial foundation of the landscape. So it's got a ways to go. So, like I said, it's important to work on more than one piece at a time. Even if it's a floral or if it's a landscape, it just, the inspiration keeps flowing and you don't get stuck. So that's why I end up with a studio full of abstracts, landscapes, florals, because you're always moving, changing, trying something new, painting something different that you're not used to painting, challenging yourself, but not letting fear be your guide, basically. And you know, you look around and look at your pieces and go, well, that's a horrible piece. Now I know how to change that. Like this is a horrible piece. It's got really good qualities, and then it's got some horrible qualities that need some work. But as you work more with different pieces, you start to look at this and go, oh yeah, I know what's wrong with that. And this one is, I love this piece, but somehow I got flat matte, dark. It needs some life. So it's not finished either. So you just keep going. Here's my ruler. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out. I don't know how I painted all this without a ruler. What the hell? I must have a good hand. No wonder this took me so long. So right now I am putting in the sky. And I've got texture underneath, so I'm working with a ruler to keep my lines clear and my colors clear.
So was this canvas a different painting before?
This was an attempt at a landscape. I love the sky, but I hated the foreground. So it's called a rework. So that's what we're doing. Turning it completely to something else. But all the hard work is done. All the layers, the layering, the colors are all there. And now I'm just using a new style, which is a bit abstract-ish, and incorporating it into my regular landscape. That was already here. Okay, so that's going to be the sky. Now I'm going to move to the mid-range in here in a lighter blue. So I'm just going to mix my colors and get some light blue. It's going. The beginning of painting for me started with a girlfriend. When our children were young, we had girls together, and we were just out at the lake discussing, you know what, we should do something for ourselves. Why don't we take a class? And we both went, well, you love writing, my girlfriend, and I don't. So we decided on taking an art class, and then it was, well, who do we take it with? And she said, oh, well, I know Hugo Alvarado, so why don't we start there? So that's my beginning of art, and working with Hugo for, I started in '99 and went till 2016 with Hugo as artist instructor and then artist friend. And working with Hugo, when you know nothing about art, he was so clear at defining that there are no rules with art. Art is a freeing experience. You don't paint with fear. A canvas is a canvas. And if you play around with it and you hate it, it doesn't matter. There's gesso, you cover it over and you start again. The process is more important than the outcome. And that has stayed in my mind most of my life, and that applies to basically everything. I'm teaching my grandchildren, you know, it doesn't matter what the outcome is, it's the process, learning to just dip your brush and paint, and who cares what happens after. So he's taught me how to, well, at least try to paint without fear. It's easier said than done at times, but it's just a process of learning to let go of perfection. So another big lesson that Hugo taught us was to just keep working. Just keep working. It's the best thing you can do is to just keep working, and don't always try to produce a masterpiece every time you pick up a piece of canvas, because some just don't want to be and some want to be and turn out that way. But you just keep working. Yeah, I learned in the beginning that I'm not a flat surface painter. I learned that the more, the happier I am. If I can get messy, dirty, sticky, I love collage. It took me a long time to find my way into collage, but I find it such a freeing source of art that you're not always trying to create something perfect. Every time you put a little piece of collage paper down, it becomes the piece. Once you get it on the canvas, all of a sudden it comes to life. For me, it comes to life and becomes something that eventually it just wants to be. You try to control it, but in the long run, it's telling you something, and you learn something from it every time I do a collage. I learn something from it. And like Hugo said, one piece teaches you something, you learn, and you move on, and the next collage turns into this, and then you're doing abstract collage, and then you're doing floral collage, and you're making your own papers. It becomes an explosion. Basically, you start from nothing, and then all of a sudden you are just so free in your studio with no fear, because there's nobody standing over you and watching you and saying, should you be doing that? Are you sure you should do that? When you're working free, you just let it go, and there's no rules, no guidelines. You just paint, and it just comes out. And that's how I find collage for me. I just let it go, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but you learn from 1, 2, and 3, and 4 how to finish your 5, 6, and 7 piece, and then you go back and it all just evolves. It's just been an evolution of 22 years of learning how to paint and let it be. Yeah, I like how this, I don't want to say matte, but it kind of gives that matte look to a painting that I found, I don't want to say too busy, but I couldn't figure out. But doing this has completely solved the problem. So yeah, this vision of this, using what you already have, and it's still me painting instead of becoming somebody else's ideas. It's still me in there. Where's my, right? So sky, my blue line. This is this piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I have to, I did this on the other one. I need to put all these little pieces, which is
Like that.
that one. I started, right? Putting all the little pieces in there. Because I need to finish painting under here now. I added this, but now I gotta decide what color do I want. I've already got blue. Such a crooked color. So, what do you think of throwing a piece of all this in here and leaving this open for this? Why do I cut wrong all the time? What, too much?
Yeah.
Like this is fighting this.
It
isn't
is.
it? Well, I think I'm going to, maybe bring this green in. So, I think I'm done down here. I don't think I want to add any more down there. I quite like the way it is. Besides coloring in these pieces now, right? These need to be, anything that has an edge, I want to color in. These little pieces here, I want to color in. Question is, what color? Or do I? Do I leave it all just as is?
I might leave it.
Instead of cutting it up and making it choppy little pieces, which, looking at that work, it is. But do I need to add that? Is this kind of just a quiet zone?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah. Is that your seat?
Oh my gosh, what's this? Look at that email. That's old.
I don't know where it came from. Somebody drew on it.
So what are you doing right now?
I am making paper skins. So basically it's acrylic paint that I spread on my paper that you can wax, peel off, but it has to be thick enough to peel off. And right now it's still only one layer, so it's too thin. And the idea right now is just getting another layer on.
So is that, like, what's the paper there? Is that wax paper? Or?
So it is the, what do you call that? Oh, can I have that yellow? I'll add that to here instead of wasting it. What do you call this paper? It's what you paint on, what you use as your painting palette. I don't want to waste my... So what it'll do is peel off, but it can't be too thin. And then you can coat it with a layer of varnish, and then it'll peel, or even gel. Then it'll peel quite readily.
So you're making something like this
so I'm
here?
making, yes, a skin. That's what it's called. So there's two sides, just because.
Okay.
So then I will cut and use that as my trees. So that's what's going to end up being my trees in that one. Okay, well I'm going to let that dry because I'm making a lock. And then see what happens. Okay, so this goes in front of the heater to dry for a day. I like the green and this one, so we make one of these trees. For that piece. Okay.
Okay, so that's the finished painting?
Yes, it is. I started it and didn't like it at all, so left it alone for quite some time, and then dragged out one of my favorite books that I have not pulled out for 3 to 4 years, and went from what I hated to back to my favorite colors from this book, and all these little florals just came to life from painting my own paper and then using it as all the little florals in the art pieces. So they all came from paper that I buy at Art Placement and then repaint myself and then reuse them as all the little florals in these little florals. That just brought it all back to life.
What do you want to say?
I like it.
You like it?
Uh-huh.
Good. What do you think about Grandma's studio?
Good.
What do you like about it?
This. I like everything on here.
And what do you do with Grandma in here?
Paint
Really?
and play.
And do you like that?
Yeah. And look at books.
And what's on your face today?
Face paint.
And who did it?
Grandma.
Did she do a good job?
Yes.
That's great. Okay, say bye.
Bye.